Was WandaVision better than your average Marvel movie? It's time for a WandaVision versus Marvel movies discussion. Hey, it's me AP, and welcome to the Saturday Movie Show. I hope you're all having a lovely Saturday, everyone. It is an early start for me today, getting the podcast done, recorded early on in the day, and then I'm going to edit it later on. But it's an early start, got a long day, but I wanted to start fresh because fresh on my mind is WandaVision. And look, today's show is going to be an open discussion from myself talking about WandaVision versus Marvel movies. And it's not that the competition. I know they're working together. They're working together at Disney, Marvel shows and movies. But look, I think it's an interesting idea to talk about. Talk about the positives, the negatives about WandaVision, and to sort of like put them against the average Marvel movie. Is it a good idea to do shows in the future for Marvel? Is this the way for Disney to go moving forward, doing the Disney Plus shows? Today, as I said, it's going to be an open discussion all about that, and then we've got all the rest of the movie stuff I got to talk about as well. It's going to be a fun packed show, so let's just crack on. Let's get into the show. So, first of all, my thoughts on WandaVision as a whole. What did I think of the season? I want to sum it all up. This is not a full-on review. This is just me giving my personal verdict on the show and a few different things about it. So first of all, let's start off with the early episodes of this, because it was nine episodes, and look, I think this started off really slow. I really thought it started off slow. And look, I kind of knew what was on offer here. We seen the trailers. We knew it was like they were doing sitcoms. So I knew in my mind, I knew what to expect somewhat. So I knew they were going to do sitcoms. For me, I didn't feel like they'd do a full-on sitcom idea. So for me, watching these first two episodes where it was like the black and white ones, and there was like the Dick Van Dyke and like the Bewitched influences. I couldn't get into them. I really couldn't get into them because for me it was just basically like watching a sitcom episode of any random sitcom from that era, and at the end there was just a tiny little tease of a grander scale thing going on here. But I felt like it was too much. It was just like really very slow storytelling, and there's nothing wrong with like long-term storytelling and that sort of storytelling, but it just felt like they could have just done anything during that show, and then at the end it was just this tease of like I said, the greater world and the greater story, what was going on. And that's I felt like the first few episodes really did fail in that in the storytelling, because it was so slow, and then they offered only a glimpse of what was really going on with the story. So the first few episodes for me, they didn't work. They were way too slow. The story aspect of what was going on in the whole show, it just didn't work for me. I didn't really enjoy the black and white, the Dick Van Dyke. That's not my era of shows. I've never watched anything like that. I get it. A lot of people do like that sort of stuff. They enjoy like them sort of older shows like Bewitched, and they have like that nostalgia for watching them black and white shows. Here in the UK, me growing up, I've never had them available for me to watch. I mean, prove me wrong. Maybe they were on some channels, but I never watched them, and I have no nostalgia for them shows. So maybe that's a part of me where the nostalgia didn't kick in. I mean, look at it. For me, I'm a 90s kid, so when it got to like the Malcolm in the Middle stuff, I got it a bit more. But even for that, I didn't really have like a massive nostalgia buzz. Even like Modern Family, it wasn't like a big like, wow, this is cool to do Modern Family. Even though I watched Modern Family, I just didn't get that buzz of it. And I've said this on other podcasts, on the Saturday Movie Show, other editions, where I found it one aspect I found very interesting is the way that they really did show what every sitcom was like, and the eye for detail, and this is a positive here, the eye for detail on every type of sitcom they try to replicate on WandaVision was done marvelously, absolutely marvelously. It was the look of it, the clothes, the set design, the acting, the performing. First of all, Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany, both of them, they were amazing. They were amazing. Elizabeth Olsen especially, but the performances in them early ones were. It was like they took it out of the Van Dyke Show. The acting was there. It was superb, and even getting onto the Modern Family ones and the Malcolm and Middle ones, the acting was very of the time. And then you had like the Brady Bunch in the middle as well. It was really good performances, and again, stylistically, they nailed it. They really did nail it with the sitcoms, and you can't fault it for that aspect. But them early ones really, for me, didn't offer that much for what this show is all about. And that really, I mean, the release, was it 2? I think they started off releasing 2 episodes, and then it was week to week then. And I don't know, it just didn't grip me straight away. It took me about 3 or 4 episodes. I think it was maybe the episode when, let me just say now, before I actually go further on and actually do lay down some spoilers here, this is going to be full heavy spoiler heavy. So I've not really mentioned any spoilers yet, but this is going to be a spoiler heavy episode. And if you watch any point forward, let me do the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoilers beyond here. I've not given any spoilers yet. So when the scene when Monica Rambo is punched, she's just like thrown out of the hex, that's when it started to warm up for me, and the episodes got a bit more intriguing. It got more exciting. There was more action heavy, and maybe that's like a subjective thing for me. It's more of a taste. I'm heavy into like the action more of Marvel stuff, maybe because it was so different. I just didn't. I couldn't adjust to it, and I couldn't really. I just couldn't get it. I didn't get what was going on. I couldn't sort of like say, oh, this is. Oh, I get it. This is cool. This is cool. It just didn't, something that didn't click with me early on. But for latter episodes, it did. When it was sort of like half and half, because he kind of done it with the later sitcoms, where it was sort of like half in this sitcom world and then half in the reality, and they were sort of aligning themselves. Whereas them early ones were just like a full-on sitcom, and then like a minute of a tease for what's to come. So when it got to them latter episodes, I found it really interesting. I got more excited about watching it, especially when they let Evan Peters join the cast as well as Quicksilver, as Pietro. That was great. That was a fantastic cameo. I want to speak more about Evan Peters' role in this show altogether soon, but let's just talk about the hype of being the first Disney Plus show. The hype of this show was phenomenal. It was big because, look, they promoted a load of shows, Disney Plus, for the streaming service at the start of like last year, and they were promoting like WandaVision. They've got like the Falcon and Winter Soldier show. They've got the Loki show. They were the main ones heavily advertised. So this was the first one, and it's got a lot of hype around it. It's the first Marvel MCU Disney Plus show. Big hype. It's taking characters from the movies. Did it live up to that hype? I think it lived up to the hype. I think it did. I think it took its time, but I still think it lived up to the hype of what we all wanted from an MCU show. I don't think it failed. I think it had big battles in it, big action scenes in the final episode and later episodes. It brought in more superheroes aspects. It brought in a lot of nostalgia buzz for Marvel and comic book fans in general. We've seen that, especially in the last episode, when we see Scarlet Witch, Wanda take on the role of Scarlet Witch, and she has the actual costume now, the comic book costume. And I think first of all, I think the costume looks great. I'm really pleased that they've now. I mean, that's long term storytelling, which works well because they've really told an origin of Wanda, and now she is the Scarlet Witch, which is great. And she's got the comic book costume. I think it's good the way they've not just like on her debut made her the Scarlet Witch with like the full on comic book costume. They've really over the movies and especially over the show, the character development of Wanda, Wanda especially, has been great. She's really developed, and you kind of don't know whether she's a villainous character or a good guy. Still, it's very she's very like a tweener of a character. She's in between everything, and at this point now, she does look more villainous, especially to the eyes of the humans within that world. I mean, we see at the end of the last episode, that they're all freed. All the people of Westview are freed from their mines, and they're all pleading to her at one point and saying, like, release me. I've not. One of the women, is it Dottie? She's like claiming like she wants, just let her see her kid, let her see her daughter. And I mean, you see Wanda, she feels awful, but all of these people in Westview fear her. They absolutely fear her because of what she's done to them. And you can get it. You understand that. I mean, if this was in the real world, and look, and the MCU is a setting that is based upon what we are in the real world. It's kind of like superheroes in the real world. You'd be devastated. You'd be angry. You'd be worried. What's this woman going to do to us next? And they despise her. And when she's walking away at the end of this episode, the last episode, you can see the animosity towards her, and then she flies off. But again, the character development is great. We see her from them early Marvel movies to what she has become, and we see the heartbreak, and then we see like the coming together of her and Vision, and then throughout the movies, and then we see him die, and then we see her bring him back to life, but he's not really the Vision. He's just like part of the Mind Stone that was put inside her. That was part of her, and then they say goodbye again, and then she's got to say goodbye to her kids as well, because she realizes that in the end the hex has to come down, and for that to happen, then her children will disappear, the Vision will disappear, and it feels like she's matured throughout all this. It feels like she's now somewhat got over that despair, but maybe she's now just went into this zone where she's the Scarlet Witch now. It's like revenge. It's revenge now, maybe. Revenge for now losing her kids, losing the Vision. It's kind of like she was just, she put this hex because she was unhappy. She was absolutely upset that Vision died. All these people got dragged in to starting this TV show like Truman style life that was all fake. They were all being mind controlled by her, and then it had to all come down. But now it's like, who's the revenge against? She must be now. She's enraged, and you see her reading that Book of the Damned at the end of the episode, and you've got to think, like, what's her plot now? Is she now plotting to get revenge against Sword, or is she plotting to get revenge against the people of Westview? Is she plotting to get revenge, or is she just plotting to scheme up like a Sith-like scheme where she brings people back from the dead, and she wants to bring back her kids and the Vision again? It's again, this is where it comes in. You don't know whether now she's on the side of good or bad. It's really developed the character though, because for me, she always seemed like a B-star player on the Avengers. But now, this show has really prompted her up to be this big character now on this in the MCU. The Scarlet Witch now, I see her. She's like up there with like the likes of Iron Man and Captain America. She's on that par. She's on that level. And if they now, we all know she's going to feature in Doctor Strange 2: The Multiverse of Madness. Is she's going to be a villain within that, or maybe she's going to be a protege of the Doctor Strange? It's going to be interesting because we're going to see a totally different side of her, a new style, a new interpretation of what her character is, and it's really exciting. I think we're going to see another big development moving forward in the movies with that character, and I think it's exciting. But this show has really just developed her and give her more time on screen, and it's been great to just see what she can do on screen, Elizabeth Olsen, with that character, and it's just been nice seeing a bit more of that character, and that is one aspect I've really enjoyed from this show. Again, the vision is very, very similar. You know, we see him with Paul Bettany, very minor roles throughout the films, but now he gets his own show with Wanda, and look, his character has developed. We've seen. I didn't realize Paul Bettany was that good of an actor. He's a really good actor, and he's proved this throughout the show. He's really cool. I like the vision. I like his development. I like this development of the character. He doesn't know who he is. He's kind of like this baby. He's like this fish. He has no memory of his past. It's like Finding Dory. He's like he doesn't remember anything. But then we see this development of then the white vision created from the body and the hex material, the hex power source, and the body of the old vision. And then we see this battle in the final scenes, and this coming together of those two characters. And then Vision sort of uses logic. Wanda's Vision from the hex from Westview uses logic with White Vision, who's trying to destroy him, to say we are both Vision and you are Vision. And he gives him the memories of the old Vision, and then he says I am Vision, and then he flies off this White Vision. So the Vision is not over in this. We see what Westview's vision be destroyed when the hex goes down, but the Vision is not done in the MCU. We're going to see the White Vision. It'd be interesting to now see White Vision maybe be an enemy of Wanda, of the Scarlet Witch, in future MCU movies. And then we see that would be nice to see a different side of him there, like a more bad guy side of the Vision, or maybe a side that is still somewhat bad, but he's trying to be good. And then we eventually see the return of the original incarnation of the Vision. I think that would be really a good story idea and a good development of that character moving forward. But I've really enjoyed the way the Vision his story's been told, of him not knowing what's going on at first, and then slowly realizing the realization that none of this is real. It's all fake. He is not real, really. He is just a part of Wanda. And it's been a very interesting storytelling, piece of storytelling to watch. So the next character I want to talk about is Evan Peters is Quicksilver, or Pietro, or now that we know his name is Ralph Boner, or Ralph Bahner. So he turns out he is this character, Ralph, Agatha's husband, that we didn't know about for all this, but he turns out he is actually just like an actor. He's a guy. He's not Quicksilver, or is he? This was kind of like a bit of a point in the episode where I was a bit disappointed that they didn't really. He wasn't Quicksilver. He's not actually Pietro. He's not from the X-Men universe of Fox movies. Maybe we will see more of this. Maybe there's more to this, and in future movies we might see Evan Peters return to that role as Quicksilver, because it does seem very odd that he's not actually. He is just a guy from this Earth, and he's a random guy. He's no relation to Wanda, but he has this like necklace on that Agatha put on him to mind control him, and he has the powers of Quicksilver. So why would he? It's very, very odd, and I feel like it was very disappointing and flattening watching this episode, and you see what the reason and who he was really. I feel like there's more to this. I don't think they would put this in because they know Marvel fans would be super disappointed with this right now. So I think there will be more to this, and I do think this is not the last we'll see of Evan Peters in the MCU. I hope so anyway. I hope that's not the case. It was a bit deflating, but let's move on to Monica Rambeau. We see her character development. We see her get the superpowers. She is now, obviously she featured in the Captain Marvel movie as a child, but now she has powers. She like super energy, very similar to Captain Marvel. And we see at the end she meets with a Skrull, and then they say we want someone wants to meet you at the base up top. in the sky, in space. So she is going to feature in Captain Marvel 2. We see a massive development with her. She has been a standout character for me as well, Monica Rambeau. I've really enjoyed that character. I think she's been great. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with her in Captain Marvel 2. I think it's going to be exciting, whether she's put as like a rival to Captain Marvel or as an enemy. I imagine she's more of an ally to Captain Marvel, but that's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to that. And look, the last character I want to really talk about is Agatha, and the children really. So the children, the boys, they were great, and I hope we do see a return. I hope we see this point where Scarlet Witch at some points in the future can revive them kids, and maybe it's not them kids, them actors. Maybe they're aged up, and we get older versions for Young Avengers. I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing them characters. I think a lot of people enjoyed them kids. I thought they were really cool. I like the powers they had. I thought the two boys who acted in them roles were great in the performances here. I don't know the actors' names, but they were really good. Look, I enjoyed it. Is it Wiccan and I can't remember the other character's name, but look, I hope they do more with them characters in the future. I think it's really exciting for the future of Marvel. And look, we've got Agatha Harkness, the villain of the piece, really. Or, well, there's two villains, Wanda and Agatha. Agatha's this witch who is trying to steal the power of the Scarlet Witch, Wanda. It all goes pear-shaped in the end, and we see Wanda destroy her, but she then puts her in this sort of like mind sleep where she thinks she's the nosy neighbour in Westview. So we see Wanda saying, I know where you are. If I need you, I can come here. But she thinks she's this nosy neighbour now. She has no recollection of who she is. So we think. So, look, I'm sure Agatha will feature at some point in little cameos in the future. I don't think this is the last we've seen of her as well. But I really enjoyed her character throughout this. I think we all knew that there was something going on with her. Early on, there was rumours of Agatha Harkness, this character, making a debut, and it would have been Agatha in that role. So I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the witchcraft side of Marvel, which we've not really seen in the MCU before. All these like the witches, and it sort of like lends itself to what the Sorcerer Supreme is doing. And I really enjoyed Doctor Strange for that. All like the witchcraft, the magicians, the magic, and I liked what we see in here. And I hope we see more of that in the future. But I really enjoyed her character. I thought she was a great villain. I'm glad they didn't do like another villain beyond her. Like they were on about like there was talks about Mephisto or anyone like that. I'm kind of glad we didn't see that because I think she was a really good villain in herself in her own right, and I really enjoyed her performances throughout. She was really good. Catherine Zahn. She is very good. Let's just say one thing I was disappointed about though in all this, because I know it was teased by Paul Bettany. Paul Bettany in an interview, he said he was going to work with someone he's wanted to work with all his life, and I think that was just I think he was just he was making a joke out of everyone. I think he was just joking around, and I think what he meant by that, the actor he wanted to work with all his life was himself, and he got to work with himself in the end episode. It was White Vision versus Normal Vision. I think that seems like what he meant by that, and he was just playing with us all, and he got us big time. He won that one, so I gotta give it to him. Well done, Paul. You played the game and you beat us all with your stupid joke. But I was disappointed we didn't see a Magneto cameo, but hey, that's what it is. We didn't see Magneto, but it was still a good ending. Look, let's move this on to, do I think they will become more popular than Marvel movies in the future? These Disney Plus Marvel shows. I think there's always a place for movies. I really do think there's always a place for movies. But I do also think on the other side of the coin that these shows are going to get better and better, and people like that storytelling where they can watch an episode every week. They can go into work, go into the family, the friends, and talk about the show. And the way Disney Plus are doing it now, it's kind of like we're getting Marvel show after Marvel show after Marvel show. So we're really getting like Marvel content every week, whereas a Marvel movie is every couple of months. It works out better, and I think a lot of people like that. There's a lot more hype about it. I think we're gonna see. I don't think we'll ever see the end of Marvel movies. I can't ever foresee that. But I do think we will see a case where Marvel movies come out less and less, and we see more of these Marvel TV shows, especially with Disney Plus. They want to put more content out there, and they want to have more regular content. So they're bound to do more of these Marvel shows. We know the lineup that's coming up. We know there's tons of Marvel shows, tons of Star Wars shows, and I don't think it's a case where they'll become better than movies. I think they'll always be. I think they'll be quite level because I think the production on this show was phenomenal. And I think the production on the more shows they do will just be as good as what the movies are. So I don't think it's like a level difference between either. I think the popularity though will be on the hype machine of what people are talking about on the internet. And I think on that side of things, people look, movies get forgotten really quickly, but if you have a 9 episode, 10 episode series, it's always fresh because everyone's always talking about it. And when the new episodes come out, then they're talking about theories from the previous episodes. So there's always that freshness to these TV shows. So I think they will, on that side of things, I think they've already become more popular than what the movies are. Because no one's talking about Iron Man 1 now, really, are they? Or Iron Man 2, and definitely not Iron Man 3. No one's talking about the plot in the movies, but you look at like the side of things like with the Mandalorian, people are still talking about like baby Yoda and Grogu, and his like season 1, season 2. It's still fresh in the memory, and when you have latter series, more series of that, and more Marvel shows, you're going to be diving back into the early ones to discuss the theories of them the last season. I think it just gives it a bit more of a freshness, the TV side of things, and the episodic side of storytelling. And I think, I personally think, looking at it, it's been you go on Twitter all the time now, and it's always there's WandaVision chat, or you go on YouTube, there's always WandaVision chat, and there's always hype about what's to come. And I do think they're slowly going to become the more popular side of things when it comes to movies versus TV shows for Marvel. I do think that is going to be something that people really enjoy watching in future. So I think they're not so popular. They're not as popular as the movies right now. Maybe they're level right now. But I do think that it's going to come to a point where people just prefer watching the Marvel TV shows rather than the movies. And I can understand why. I can totally understand why. So, as I said, I do not think Marvel will ever stop making movies. I hope they don't. I enjoy the movies. I think it's a good idea for like these TV shows to be like the setting up for like a big Avengers movie. Maybe it could just be like the Avengers movies could be the big team ups. They're the only movies they do in future, and that would work. I think that would work. But look, overall, WandaVision versus Marvel movies. Who wins? Who wins out of the two of them? I tell you who wins. Us as fans of Marvel. Fans of TV shows, of movies, of Disney, comic books. We are the winners in all this because we are getting more Marvel content. We're getting it directly to our own homes. And I think it's awesome. And I think we are the real winners out of all this. WandaVision versus Marvel. The debate will keep on continuing. I hope it does. And I think, look, some people might think one's better than the other. That's fine. I enjoy both. And it's the best of both worlds to me. And I as a viewer, am the winner of all this. And I'm sure you are a viewer of these shows and movies. And you are also a winner out of all this as well. So I enjoyed it. Overall, the show, as I said, it was a slow start, but it got better, more action throughout. It was a good stepping stone for what they're doing for the future here at Marvel with Disney Plus shows, and I am excited. And I think it was a really good first shot at what they wanted to do here, and you've got to applaud them for what they've done. They really told a good story throughout. Good long-term storytelling. And it definitely hyped up by the end of the show as well, and really give us a really full-on superhero TV show that we all want to see. So I think you just got to give them a thumbs up at the end because they've done a good job there. So let's move forward now. Let's move forward to some housekeeping. So what have I been up to this week? I've been working on a new video this week, which is a video where I'm just doing like sort of narration over the top. It's one where I've scripted it. I don't script any of my videos normally, but this is one where I wanted to script it to put some detailed information in there. So I've been working on that this week and filming some more videos as well, as always, which has been fun. And yeah, that's the housekeeping. Not really all that much to go this week, housekeeping wise, but let's get on to what have I been watching on my screen this week. So I've watched two movies this week, two notable movies anyway. The first being The Prisoners, starring Hugh Jackman, Jake Gyllenhaal, and it was great. It was a great movie. Was it Denis Villeneuve, the guy who's directing Dune? I can't pronounce his name. It's Denis Villeneuve or Villeneuve. I struggle with that one. I need it written in front of me so I can like read it out, and every word like sort of like gaps between the words so I can spell it out. But I like a lot of his movies. Every movie of his I've watched, I've really enjoyed, and this one was no different. This was an incredible movie, and one I've had mentioned to me for years, and I've just not watched it, and I got around to watching it this week finally, and it kind of wasn't what I was expecting. I didn't expect this sort of plot, and it was a great story, very heavy, very heavy story. I mean, if you're not into heavy stories, very dark in tones, I wouldn't watch it. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good watch, very emotional, very gripping as well. Hugh Jackman's performances were great. He's another role. It kind of this is I think like in the late years of Hugh Jackman's career, like the last 10 years, he's really come into his own as an actor, and he's really put out some really good performances. And this was a great performance from him. It was really up there against like Logan, and I really enjoyed it. Jake Gyllenhaal was great in the performances as well. Two phenomenal actors there, and a great story that I would recommend anyone watch that movie. It's really gripping, and just one of those where at the end where you're like, no. You didn't want it to end. You wanted to find out more, but it did end, and they're the best movies because they're the sort of movies at the end where you're just thinking what happens next, and it had me great. It was kind of like a very much like a what type of an Inception ending, very much like a similar ending to that, and I really enjoyed that. Another movie I finally got around to watching is 10 Cloverfield Lane. I've never seen any of the Cloverfield movies. I don't like found footage, so I didn't want to watch the first movie. I never got around to watching that. But this was one that I'd always fancied watching. It had John Goodman in it. I like John Goodman, and got around to watching it finally. And again, great movie. They're in this bunker underground, and there's like an attack above, but you're halfway between the film, you're wondering whether there is actually an attack or whether John Goodman's character who takes two people hostage, whether he's just a crazy person. You find out in the end, obviously, the resolution to that, whether he is crazy or whether he's telling the truth. And it's a great ending, and it's a great story, and I'm looking forward to. I mean, it'd be nice to see something more. I know they've done a sequel, like not a direct sequel to this, so I'm interested to see what the direct sequel, the sequel is meant to be like. I think it's called the Cloverfield Paradox. It was a Netflix movie. It didn't get great reviews, but I'm going to watch it. But it was one I'm glad I watched finally. It was a great movie. So two movies there I would definitely recommend watching: The Prisoners and 10 Cloverfield Lane. Both good movies, and they were on my movie list for ages. They were on my movie list for quite some time, and I'm slowly just going through that movie list now, trying to get the ones off so I can add some new movies. It's kind of like, I feel it's like buying stuff. I don't want to buy new stuff while I've still got old stuff I've never used. So I've got these movies I want to watch before I start adding more movies to the list. So I'm going to try and get to the end. I've got about 20 movies in my movie watch list at the moment. I'm going to watch all them before I add any more movies or watch any like new movies that come out. So that was it was a good week for movie watching. But anyway, that is the end of the show today. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like, give it a comment as well. Let me know your thoughts on WandaVision versus Marvel movies, the whole discussion about today's episode, and what did you think of WandaVision as a whole? Did you enjoy the show? Let me know your thoughts. And look, I think we are all treated very well as Marvel fans, and it has been a treat watching the first installment of the Disney Plus Marvel TV shows, and I really enjoyed it. So let me know your thoughts on all that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next Saturday.